We dedicate this week's episode to Marcia Rodriguez, the aunt of our special guest today, who lost her life from the unfortunate events of 9/11. We honor her spirit today along with all the other lives lost on this tragic day. May they all rest in love and their families be comforted with peace. Today on the podcast, we chat with fellow podcaster Tershone Phillips of the Right Mistake podcast. Tershone is no stranger to life-changing moments. As the daughter of two now retired NYPD officers, she's experienced life on both sides of the black and blue. Born and raised for the greater part of her life in Brooklyn, New York, she experienced personal tragic loss as a result of the unfortunate events of 9/11. On this episode today, we share about these experiences, along with how she is using her voice within the world of media and impacting young girls of color to have self-confidence and dream big. So pull up a chair at the table and join us as we chat with our newfound cousin, Miss Tershone Phillips.
Welcome to Melanated Conversations, our narrative and our perspective.
Here on the podcast, we are amplifying the voices of Black women and sharing their powerful stories of transformation.
I'm Tyrion.
And I'm Yana. Let's start the show. Welcome back to another episode of Melanated Conversations.
Yes.
I am your co-host, Yana.
And I am your co-host, Tyrion.
Welcome back, y'all.
Hey!
Y'all might hear a little cheer in our voice.
Yes.
A little cheerier in our voices today because, number one, this has been like a long time coming.
Yes.
Terry and I are in the room together. I like that. Y'all, COVID has kept us apart. But we're together now.
We said nay, not today.
But we still social distance. We're in the room.
Yes.
But we still apart.
That's right. Together but
doing
apart.
Our part. Because we're doing our part.
Together but apart. Doing our part.
Oh,
together.
I didn't know where you was going with that. But yeah,
really
but we are in the room together. Y'all don't understand. Me
Yes.
and Tyrion have not been in this room together since, was it February of this year?
Yes, February.
And so we had to like change things up this past season, and it was a little different. And I'm not gonna hold you. Getting back in the same room together and now again, we were like, okay, what we do?
Right.
What's that?
How we plug this in?
The USB to the yeah.
Too much.
No, but y'all, we have an amazing guest with us today.
Yay.
She's already just she already like family at this point.
She lifted our spirits.
Yeah, she been with us as when we've been having little technical difficulties this morning. But we appreciate you. But we want to make sure we give you guys a warm introduction of our guest today, Tershone Phillips. Welcome, Tershone.
Well, hello. Hi. I'm so excited to be here. This
Yes.
is so exciting. I do feel like family with you both. It's going to be a great episode. Yay.
Yay.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. Well, Tershone, you know, she's like family to us already, and I think we're gonna have a little fun next, like we always do with our rapid fire, or as people have now called it, our rambling fire round.
Pew, pew,
So, pew, pew, pew. So, Tershone, if you are ready, let's play a little round real quick, okay?
Let's do this. I'm excited.
Now, we know that you are also a podcaster. You have your own podcast. And we want to know, and of course we'll answer this as well, but we want to know, what is your podcasting pet peeve?
Ooh, that is a great one. Okay. My podcasting pet peeve is when you set up time, because my platform as well is really bringing guests on. And so I solidify a guest. We already have time set up. And then they feel the need to reschedule. Now, I know things come up. and different things happen. But really the pet peeve is that now you want me to, and I know I need to accommodate you, but I just have to be honest. I don't really, once we have everything set in stone, it's like a day before you're going to come on and we're going to do this recording. You now want to tell me that we have to refine a whole new date, a whole new time. And I know it shouldn't be a huge pet peeve, but I just feel like I take it in a professional stance and like, don't let me know the day before that you no longer are available unless something crazy is happening where it's like, you know, something fell off the roof. I need it to be something completely traumatic. I don't need it just to be that you didn't know how to schedule your time and you've now chosen to adjust my time.
For sure. Yeah, that's real. That is very real.
Absolutely.
That's too real.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
What would you ladies say?
Well,
go ahead. Yeah.
I've been waiting for this question because, okay, I know podcasting is, you know, has become this new and like popular, and it's like the it thing to do now, which I feel is great. It's like the new, of course, you know, like when blogs started, you know, people was riding their wave, and, you know, blogs exploded, and we're kind of in the same space of podcasting. But my pet peeve is when those of us with indie shows like you and I and Terry and Tershone, and, you know, we are on the ground floor and we're doing everything on our own, and building and marketing and editing and researching and booking guests and everything that comes with putting a good show together. And then we have these celebrities or other people that just drop in, that just wake up one morning and say, I want to start a podcast. And then they're like, they get the Spotify original series, Apple, just like
got a whole team behind them. Girl, you speaking
You are
to
so
my
right, Yana. Also, with saying that, did you all see, like, don't get me wrong, I love my one and only first lady.
You were on the same page with us.
You already know.
You were right in our brains.
We right in the same boat.
Yes.
I love it. But just right before actually coming on to do this recording, I opened Spotify, and here I go with a bold ad. Ooh, follow now to not miss the first episode. And I'm just like, goodness, I need some clout. I need to go be some type of influencer, celebrity, something, because am I doing this wrong? Like, they don't even have an episode yet.
Right.
Crazy marketing.
Right.
I completely hear that. Oh.
It was a celebrity that came out. I think it was on Michelle's podcast that said, there was marketing that was like, oh, here's, download this podcast. It's already my favorite. She had
literally just made the announcement. It was like, this is my favorite podcast already. No.
Like,
you pick somebody else.
You don't even know what they're talking about.
Her podcast might be trash.
No,
right. I know it won't be.
It won't be, but it might be.
But it's the principle.
It's the principle. Yes.
It's the principality.
Yes.
As Big Worm said.
Big Worm. It's the principality.
So we love you, Michelle Obama.
Yes, we do. Our forever first lady.
Yes, but, you know, some of your other melanin sisters, they want a little light shine on them too. We don't want to, we don't need all the light. We just need to share the light. Can we have a little piece of the light?
We don't need like this boo-boo light that they're trying to give us. I don't even really know how to say a better articulate word. It's really just boo-boo light.
Yeah.
Where in the sense of now Black podcasting is the whole thing with paralleling to Black Lives Matter. It's like, don't just try to give me this little tab on this little level here just because you see the word melanated or black or whatever in my description or in my name.
Right. Exactly.
Like, I don't know. I just don't know how authentic that really is as well. So that's two pieces.
Yeah, because real talk. I know this whole show is not going to be on podcasting, y'all, but since we're talking about it, I want to get this out too. Because it goes back to that, you know, it was a month ago when everything exploded after George Floyd, and then everyone wanted to flock to like Black content. Yeah. And we saw our numbers shoot up astronomically, like triple in downloads for the month of June. And then here we go into the month of July and they're back to normal. And it was like, so where are you people at? You know?
Pull up.
It's like you just wanted a snippet, but you're not here for the regular all day. Like you're not and really wanting to know about it.
That part. It's funny. I was talking to some ladies last night, and I was like, I said pretty much the same thing. I was like, it's funny, everything that's kind of transpired over the last 6 to 8 weeks, and the quote unquote the movement that's happened, and where now people are suddenly aware. And I was like, listen, we've been doing this for a minute now. Like, this is not new to us. And so for people now to find it marketable and then co-opt the situation, I don't like that. But to answer the question really quickly, it's a little bit of both of what y'all are saying. Tershone, the whole thing about like, changing up the last minute, booking with the booking situation, not only canceling, but do not book the night before. Okay, at 10 o'clock for a 9 o'clock in the morning show. Don't do that. Okay. Number 2, same thing. I just feel like, please, like let us get a little light too. Us indie grassroots podcasters, we are out here grinding like crazy. And for the people who have these huge, they already have the influence, they've got the team, they've got the production, they've got the fan base, they've got everything already put in place for them. And they're, like I said, with First Lady Michelle Obama's like, you already number 1. Like, you ain't even dropped the episode, and you, God bless you. We love you, but
yes, we do. But come on,
help us.
There's a give and take here.
And you just
take it.
I had to check myself when I saw it, because I was like, Michelle, ain't you tired of talking right now?
For real. I told Yana this morning, I was watching like one of the morning news shows, and they were saying, and next up we're going to talk about Michelle Obama's, new podcast. And I literally said to the TV, I don't want to see that. Like, I was just upset. I was like, I don't want to see that. I'm turning my TV off because I don't want to see it right now. Got too much going on.
It's like, we loved Becoming. That was great.
Yes.
And we love all the content you give us, but like, okay, there's a balance.
And I'm like, you not tired of talking right now?
Right.
But I mean, okay.
But I'm gonna subscribe though. I'm gonna
listen. I'm gonna support.
I'm gonna support. I wish we could send her like, subscribe.
Right. You want to put us on the show? We'll come on the show. Put some indies on.
If she want to do like an indie, somebody. If anybody listening knows how we can get in touch with somebody and get in touch with Miss Michelle, we really appreciate it. We're trying to get us out. Like, if she can just make a list of podcasts, man,
indie ground roots, grassroots.
But in Black podcast, yes. Like, I would love that, because telling Black stories, she's so good at that, and I think that's authentic to her.
Yes,
that would be awesome. You're right. Anybody, please let us know.
Please.
We waving and we ready. We here.
Amen. Well, that concludes our rambling fire. We only did one question, but I feel like we knew we was going to get a little dialogue out of that one. So thank you for playing, Tershone.
Of course. Were you sure we can't do one more? Actually, like that.
Oh, okay. How about, let's do something a little different. How about you throw out a rapid fire? Give us a question.
Yes.
Okay. All right. This should be a quick one.
Okay.
So, due to the fact that you both are together, but socially distant together, what would be, since we're in summer and we're all just stuck in the house, what is your favorite part of a regular summer that you're missing out on due to COVID 2020 summer?
Girl,
traveling. Yep.
Swimming.
I think that's always hard.
And when I say traveling, I mean going to other countries, traveling that they don't like us right now.
I plan to go to 2020 Tokyo Olympics before it got canceled. So that was going to be my summer trip this year. I was so excited. Where did you ladies have planned to kind of go over to?
I don't even
before
know.
This happened.
Well, so this is the bye year, actually. So we looked up, but still, just even if our family got a chance to at least go right before.
Y'all did. We were going to do something for spring break. And that was right when COVID like struck and shut things down. So we literally have not been anywhere this year.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about that. We was like, dude, like we have not been anywhere this year. As Tyrion said, we do a couples trip every other year. Yeah. Thankfully, this is the year off our bye year. But, you know, we don't know what 2021 is looking. We have hope, but if people don't sit down somewhere, wear these masks and wash them hands.
Oh,
please. That's it.
Please.
Like, we cannot go into 2021.
Help us.
Please. Please and thank you. Well, and actually, I was going to go on a couple of mission trips. It was going to be later on this fall, but that's definitely not happening now. So,
yeah, we have to let everything go. But all right, prayers for 2021.
Yeah,
amen.
For now, I just been traveling in my dreams.
Amen. Hey, you know, getting inspired, making lists.
No, I'm talking about my actual dreams.
No, I feel you on that. I feel you on that.
No. Oh, yeah.
Man. Well, thank you for asking that question. That was a great question.
Flashback Friday, when you could travel.
Right.
Oh, okay. So thank you for playing a couple rounds with us with that. We do want to make sure that we hear a little bit about you. You know, our listeners came to check you out and to hear all the great things that you have going on. And before we really get into our full conversation, can you just give us a little bit about you and your origin story? Who is Tershone Phillips?
Absolutely. And so Tershone, first and foremost, is a proud Black woman. But outside of that, I was born in Brooklyn, New York. So shout out to BK. And that really is the catalyst in like really developing who I am as a person. I was born to two, right now retired NYPD police officers. And we lived and grew up in New York and then left and moved to Florida after 9/11. And so I have that mixture of both the North and the South in me, because people forget Florida is the South still. And there's a lot of things happening down here down there that, you know, are controversial, obviously.
Yeah.
With us seeing how they had to cancel the RNC, but it was going to happen in Jacksonville. So, and then I went out to school in Florida, and then I ultimately moved back up here to New York, which then led to my professional career of being a marketing and communications professional, along with kicking off my own podcast, being the Right Mistake podcast. And on the personal side, I am, for one, a traveler, a lover of travel, all water activities. I am a fish at heart. I also would say that I love to impact the community, and I am a Girl Scouts troop leader, which really has shown me that really just spending time and interacting with our youth, specifically our young Black girls, is so important to just shaping and redefining how we as a community move forward and just progress. And that's me.
Yeah, I love that.
It.
I literally just yesterday got asked to be a troop leader.
Really?
Yes.
Are you going to do it? Please do it.
I don't know.
We should do it together.
We should do it together. I just don't know. Well, I'm not going to say it online, but we'll see what happens.
I kind of think I know what you're going with, and I'm with you.
Yeah, if I'm going to do that, then But you know, Girl Scouting has been a part of my entire life. I was a Girl Scout from Daisy to senior. That was my entire life. So I am fond of Girl Scouting. I believe in what they do. I believe in what they stand for. It was very impactful on my life. Many of my friends that I grew up with, we are still friends because of Troop 68. Shout out to y'all. So yeah.
Yes, remembering the troop. I will say the one thing I love about our troop in Brooklyn is that we are an all Black troop. Like, I know, like, anyone can come and join the troop, but just based on the area that we're in.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's great that I know that that's the demographic I'm solely just really inspiring and interacting with. And I truly enjoyed that piece of it. I will say my troop was much more diverse back when I was in a troop and a Girl Scout.
Yeah.
And so that was cool, but I think that it's really nice for the girls to come and have a nice safe space with just literally young women who look exactly like them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, the troop that I was in was all Black as well. So
Same.
that was,
Yeah.
I'm not a segregationist here, but.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
But, sometimes if I'm in school and I'm with all these, sometimes I just want time to be with individuals that truly can connect with me. And not saying just because you look like me, you can, but that's one less step it takes to kind of build that bridge.
No, we get it.
Absolutely. We feel you.
How many are in your troop? Do you know? How many girls do you have?
And so we have, the most we have is of course going to be our brownies. That's the largest. And we have about 20 brownies. But in the entire troop going through Daisy all the way up to, it's like an ambassador now. We don't actually have any seniors. We stop at cadets.
Oh.
But they switched it up a little bit and trying to be, I don't know if it's progressive or what it is. But
really?
we have in total about 35.
So
nice. Each other group
Okay.
is a little bit, so it's a solid group.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
So it is a combination of all the different levels in your troop.
Yes, I specifically just deal with the juniors, but all together, we have them all come together, unless we're doing an activity where the little ones can't come like the daisies, but for our general body meetings that we have, everyone comes in down, and we do it, of course, after church, so that is
of course, same here. Yep. Oh, I love that. Makes me
memories.
I love that. And I know just from experience, like even the life skills, but like you mentioned, it was good to identify, to be around other girls. They're, similar in experiences, and, you're making new friends. And Girl Scouts was really, especially as a Black Girl Scout, just look forward to that. That was like our opportunity to really get out. I know we experienced some of our first trips together, first museums together, getting into different cultural activities. That was like our first experiences, and it all was because of Girl Scouts.
Very resourceful. Also, I like to bring about the cookie selling.
That's
really being like an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
Sell these cookies and get my patches.
That's right.
But now they got apps and stuff. Now we had to go door to door with that little
long sheet of paper.
Don't let it get wet. That ink could come out like, oh Lord, I remember.
That fold up sheet.
They're online.
Yes.
You don't even have to come pick up your cookies. They deliver
it to you. Yes.
Yeah, this new society. I agree.
I'm not mad at them though.
No, I'm not.
You just sometimes wish you had a little thing to
it was hard getting them 200 cookies.
I'm telling you.
Right? Because I wanted my patch. And I think if you sold over 200 cookies, you got extra, like outside of patches, you got a real gift.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You're absolutely right about that. Oh my goodness.
Well, we commend you, and that just kind of like sent a little extra spark.
I know.
Like, oh, Terry, let's start a troop.
Let's start a troop. Let's do it.
I hope you will think about it, but also think about your bandwidth. I know you ladies both have so many things going on. So, of course, I'm not the only troop leader. It's 4 of us, so we're really able to balance it off of each other.
Yeah.
So I would say, think long and hard about it. I'm not going to push you to do it. But
we may talk offline with you on it.
Yeah. and we've got girls too. We've got young kids, so that was
that's another
reason.
thing that plays a big factor in it, is that we want to give them some exposure and experience to, especially other girls that look like them.
That's right. Hands down.
Well, kind of segueing a little bit. You have done a lot in your span of years in your career. I know recently you were in an interview on Beat TV, and you were discussing a little bit about your experience and, about your platform and things of that nature. One thing that I know that you mentioned was that you're a daughter of 2 retired NYPD officers, which I didn't mention it to you guys on the show. I don't know if we shared that.
Yeah.
Tershone is from New York.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting to hear you lived a life of being a daughter of two, not only one, but two NYPD officers. How was that experience for you?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, to go into that. So my parents actually, just to give background as well, they met on the job. So there's this corny story, super corny, of being partners and then actually coming together, getting married, etc. But really growing up in New York and being the parents of two people who were not only Black but blue was really a bit of being twofold. And so I always say that it was great to have the experience of when I was out with friends or doing things. Outside of just my parents, all of my play aunts and uncles, I had so many different names in case I ever did get into a stumble. Now, I wasn't the stumbling child. That was really my brother. So he really had to make sure that he knew who to call, had cards on hand. But it was always that I could just say, well, such so-and-so and blah, 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 precinct, etc. if something happened. But one, not everyone has that fallback and not everyone can be in those situations. But then it's also, I would say, it's kind of taken a stance of the stories that they tell me. So there's so many different stories of them they were officers in the late 80s and 90s. And so they really kind of just told me about having their counterparts being a white partner, etc., but being in neighborhoods like the neighborhoods they grew up in Bed-Stuy, Brownsville, in the heart of Brooklyn, where they're coming to these different places and coming out from Long Island, these other officers who don't really know the community and don't care to know it. So just extremely aggressive. And what we see now on the TV screens when it comes to the protesters and comes to different things, that's really what they kind of saw day in and day out. And now I am literally the direct image of my mother visually and also personality wise, where she's a bit of a spitfire and she just wasn't having that. So she has plenty of stories for me about, just her having to have to check someone. But it's also you checking someone because it's disrespectful, but now they have to, that comes back into, are they going to have backup? Are they going to have someone come in and really do what needs to be done if they need someone to have their back? So it's, you're defending this person in this moment, but then what's going to happen to you? Are you going to get promoted? It's like all these different instances coming into play. And so now it's really interesting, fast forwarding to them retiring, no longer being in that space, but we talk about police reform and really talk about, okay, because when I first used the term defund the police, she's like, well, Tershone, that just seems aggressive. Okay, it might be aggressive, but you look at these charts, you look at data that's showing how much, like, you being a part of one of the largest city agencies, whereas you all get double what the fire department in New York gets. What exactly are you using all this funding for? And if we know there's a problem internally, institutional-wise, like there needs to be some type of impact in people. There's really only impact when it comes with dollar signs. And so I definitely stand with the fact that you all can do your jobs effectively, but not necessarily have to be funded in a way to have all this armor and have all this defense equipment, because your aggression only creates more aggression. Right. And so really, we have to just think holistically about redefining what it is to police. They have to redefine what it is to police and how we then see the police. But it starts from them coming to us. And that's where I think that they want citizens to make work and like to be this way or that way. No, you all have to come in and just do better with how you're approaching your communities and the police should be a part of the community and not, yes, you are there to guard and to what term am I really looking for? To just be the overseers and watchers, but in no way are you someone's parent where you should be able to put hands on someone, like with what we saw in George Floyd, in the sense of like, I'm watching this and I didn't even, to be honest, watch the full video, but even with just knowing the knee on the neck, I'm like, mommy, there's no way that was in you all's, what you learned at the academy. Like, there's no way. She's like, absolutely not. That's not what, so when you see things of that nature, it's just like, come on now, there just has to be something to be done. But to really wrap up, I would also say I go back because they also have pensions. Their pensions is what allowed them to retire doing 20 years and giving the beautiful life that we had as a child that I had. So, So that's where I leave that with, just kind of there's that back and forth stance to it.
Yeah.
But overall, we know there's something that needs to be done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, and even when we're talking about, defunding the police, and we know that term is polarizing for a lot of people, and there have even been cries of people saying abolish police now. And I'm not sure that I feel like that's the case, but we do have to look at, like you said, we're talking about dollar signs at this point. Why are these departments receiving so much money? And then they're serving communities that are poor, and you know what I mean? They have a lack of resources. They don't even have the bare minimum that, maybe some of these suburbs have. And they're struggling. Why not funnel those funds and put them back into those communities that are struggling? We know that poverty and crime are correlated. So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand, I think, where the disconnect is with officials and people in power, where they can't see the connect and say, let's refunnel this. Let's.
Or is it that they're refusing to see?
I think that's what it is. But I'm trying to be fair here. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I agree with you. I think it is
trying to give the benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
In the sense of like, well, what is the problem?
Exactly.
And you also have to ask, where if you can give me a police officer at a school, but then like there's not a guidance counselor, how is that even something that should be allowed? Why am I walking through metal detectors, but I can't go to a guidance counselor if I'm in a poor school and I need to just speak about my home situation, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
That's not acceptable.
You also got to look at some of these counselors they throw in these schools too. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
That is a whole nother conversation. Oh goodness.
A quick question still on that topic. For your parents, did they have experiences to where they felt kind of caught in the middle of being, black and policing?
And blue?
Yes, yeah. Black and blue. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I would say a few of the stories, they were there. What riots did my mom recently tell me about? It was the Crown Heights riots. And so they were on during, and I think this is back, like, it's a few years after, like, Rodney King riots, but she was on, it's still, like, a bit, because my mom ultimately went into fingerprinting, but she was still actually on the streets back then. And she said how it was that was one of the first few times, because not all of the neighbors necessarily knew that they were police officers, because it's not necessarily something you want to expose to everyone around you, like people that you want to know your business can know your business, And so she had to dress in uniform to actually leave the house that way, and she was going down to really kind of police, and it's pretty much similar but a bit more intense than what we saw with a lot of these Black Lives Matters protests, where like there was aggressors on both ends. But she did tell me just about how she really felt. We can use the term conflicted, but just really had to get herself and ground herself in understanding that being even attacked and hearing certain things from her people that in a community that she grew up in and loved, but having to have to be on the other side and really try to dismantle and really just de-escalate what was happening in the situation, and being, bondaged up in all of this material, like all of these, you guys have seen the uniforms and things, and when it looks like almost the police are going into combat. You got this big old it just looks insane. But I will say she just speaks to that time, and it just being really frustrating, and at times maybe even coming home and having to just like emotionally explode. I think it was great though for them to have each other, and that's the one thing that is a little bit different in their situation, where they could come home and really explain. They didn't even have to explain to each other because they both were dealing with the same thing, but really just have that emotional balance of someone going through the exact same thing and knowing like, hey, we're going to get through this. We're going to be okay. But I will say my cousin who's on the force now, he has such a tougher time because how she explains those riots versus him being in the city and what was happening, just as we said a few weeks ago, he really was extremely frustrated by it. And now we have all the levels of added social media and people attacking and knowing if you are an officer, well, why don't you do this? Why are you not speaking out about that? But speaking out can literally be wringing your neck out and it being like, oh, you might lose your job or you're going to lose the respect of, as I said, all of the people in your precinct, and then if they see something happening to you on the street, they don't have your back. And with a job like that, you kind of need people to have your back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Even just hearing you mention, because we hear it all the time, especially, not saying other races don't, but more so from the Black stance. It's, you're fighting a lot of battles. And like you said, I know a lot of our Black brothers and sisters in blue that's holding the uniform that's really trying to step in the gap and really be that force of change. The ones that are on the good side that's really trying to, be the advocates of change, because we need more of us in there. They're fighting some deep battles because, you don't want to cross that line with your brothers and sisters in blue, because then you lose that kind of, we hear it all the time. And, that can be really heavy. Heavy. But yeah, just we appreciate you, being transparent and sharing that piece of your story. And we appreciate your parents and your family members' service in doing that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, tell them thank you.
They were some angels. Couldn't be something that I would.
I was gonna say you didn't want to follow in their path.
No, I always said I was gonna be a lawyer, but then at the time of school, it just seemed so oversaturated, and I'm happy to use my voice in other ways. Because as a communicator, I have a lot to say.
Girl, you're tugging in my heart. That's sure. And you said is it just you and your brother? Are y'all the only children?
So to give a little quick backstory, it is me and my brother, but we actually, a reason why we moved to Florida, we lost my aunt in 9/11. And so my mom actually took hold and calls my two cousins, who were her two daughters. That's who I refer to as my sisters that live out in Texas.
Oh, wow.
So, yes.
Oh, my goodness.
So sorry to hear about that. So I take y'all were in New York at the time for 9/11 as well.
Yes. I still lived there. We didn't leave New York until closer to 03, 04 or so. We definitely were there during 9/11. They were actually still on the police department during 9/11. So my parents have so many stories just in terms of all of that they experienced while they're 20 years on a job.
Yeah.
A lot as you think about how long we spend on these corporate jobs, but they being there for 9/11, my mom working in the city, and that being her sister, it was heavy, and I think we really had to get a new scenery and new environment after all of that. So,
yeah, I mean, I hate to even go down that rabbit hole, but I'm just curious, how old were you around that time?
I was in elementary school at that time, but I still was aware. I was in the 4th grade when 9/11 actually happened.
Okay.
And so with that being said, I still remember it really, you got to remember also in New York, school doesn't start until after Labor Day. So we only just started school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So literally, this is the first few days of school. I can remember just being in the classroom, and it's at 9 a.m. this happened, 8:45, 9 a.m. So we're sitting there. The teachers head out into the classroom. They come back in. They start calling. They ask us very overt questions like, oh, do any of your parents work in the city? All of us have raised our hands all our parents work in the city. We're in Brooklyn, ladies.
Right.
And then, they're like, oh, well, do any of your family members work in the Twin Towers, et cetera, et cetera. So then 15 minutes later, they call. They say, Tershone, your dad is here. I go down. My dad, he was an officer, but in Brooklyn. My mom actually worked in the city at this point because she did fingerprinting down at One Police Plaza. So literally he came and got me, got my brother, and he just was like, your mom's looking for your aunt. And it was like, okay. So literally my mom walked through the door. I remember that day so vividly. She was covered in dust because she had to walk across the bridge. And she had gotten hit with all of the residue of what was happening from the building coming down. Yeah. It was just a lot. And I will say it's one of those defined memories in my head, even being young. And even to this day, it's even that's why folks were just oh, you're going to move back to New York. How is that? Because I actually, in one of my previous jobs, worked right downtown near where the new World Trade Towers are. So it was always very interesting. But I cherish it because I would still go and visit my aunt's Maine. at the pools. And so that's really like the only grave site we have for her. And so, yeah.
What's your aunt's name? If you don't mind sharing.
I'm sorry?
I said, what's your aunt's name, if you don't mind sharing?
Oh, no, I don't. Marcia Rodriguez. Beautiful. May she rest in peace.
Yeah.
I love her so much. So, yeah.
I've actually been to the reflection pool, and it's crazy. I did not realize, you don't realize how massive those buildings were.
Yeah.
Just seeing, like, you know, they've done a beautiful job with the memorial, but just seeing just how massive, my goodness, it's overwhelming when you go to that site.
And it's overwhelming to think it was a building there. Like
yeah.
And all these people in this building.
Yes.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember I was a senior in high school. It was my senior year in high school. It was in probability and statistics class.
I was in ninth grade. I was in actually my civics class.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
And our teacher, for some reason, turned on the TV, and we saw the second tower get hit. And everybody
you all actually watched it.
We actually watched it happen. Yeah.
They didn't put it on for us. I didn't see it till we got back to the house.
Okay.
I think just because being in New York, they had to be very temperamental, just because
absolutely
a lot of people that would be impacted.
Yeah, for sure. My goodness. Well, thank you for sharing that. I know I feel like we're getting all up in your business.
Okay.
But you know, once again, like, thank you so much for just being transparent and sharing this part of your life with us. We appreciate it. I don't want to just be like, oh, let's segue to the next thing, but in that same interview where you share about your parents and being, you know, the daughter of two NYPD officers, retired officers, you also discuss the topic of racial diversity within the media industry and the importance of using your professional platform for systematic change. In the interview, you shared about your initial experience at ABC TV network. Can you share a little bit about that story with us?
Oh, of course. Yeah. So really, that was the kickoff to my career in the media industry, was this fellowship. And just background on the fellowship, it was a summer fellowship where you had about 30 of us who received free housing at NYU. We were actually paid a stipend through a program called IRTS. And so literally they let a combination of different applicants come from across the country, interning at different places, whether it be ABC, CBS, Viacom, all these major hard-hitting industry companies. And so coming into the fellowship, I was the only person of color in the ABC class, just because you only have one person from my internship program, yes, now come in and go do the program on the side. So they had their regular interns there. And also, just to note, as we talk about internships and things, their regular interns weren't being paid. So then that goes to the conversation. I don't know if you all have been. It's really tough because it becomes like this class thing where if you don't have the budget to accept a unpaid internship, creates nepotism essentially in an essence, just because a lot of the interns I met were children of so-and-so, or, oh, their uncle works at the network or works on the corporate side or whatever it might be. And that's how they got in. So they're kind of looking at me because, of course, all of the actual people that work there, they're so excited to get this diversity fellow every year. So it's like very twofold, because one, you're getting singled out by all of these big hotshot names who you want informationals with, they want to talk to you, but then you're ostracized by your fellow interns who you do want to have a relationship with, but you're also kind of aggravated because you've worked your tail off to get to this fellowship, and they kind of just are like, oh, like this was a fellowship I got like in my senior year. They're like freshmen, sophomores in college, kind of just like, oh yeah, I just got this. Oh, I'm staying with, my parents here, they live in the city, etc. And you just, I don't know, you feel a balance of like, okay, is this what it's always going to be? And to be quite frank and honest, that is what it always then becomes, because a lot of my other opportunities in terms of companies that I worked with after having that internship and really starting off my career and now being in the middle range piece of my career is really knowing that all of these roles I've gotten, I'm pretty much probably the only person on my team that looks like me. and then expanding to the only person on the broader department that looks like myself. And that's when it's just like, you all need a foundational system in place. And I literally was talking to my company about this, and we formed actually like a initiative in a group, all of us that are people of color at my current company, just because there has to be some type of accountability. You're only going to bring in who you know within your network. So if you're basing it off of referrals and this, that, and the third, the only people you're referring a lot of the times are people that look like you. And then that, and if you want to say you're in the media industry, we're in an industry that's impacting billions of people, and billions of those people look like me and look like us, right? And we are the value of, when we look at reports and want to talk about numbers, the value of our dollar and our spending value is astronomical. Yeah. And so how dare we be an afterthought when it comes to ads and comes to, oh, well, let's do this diversity or minority, whatever you want to call it, initiative around this. No, we should be in the general concept of what you're building out on ads and everything. We should be the first thought, in my opinion, because we generate culture, we generate trends. That's all us. Say what you want, but that's us. And so when thinking about that, like really that first experience at ABC showed me like, okay, well, this is where we're at. We have so far to come, and you all want to have these programs where you like prance us around. Cool. But what real true changes? Because when you prance us around, but then I don't see any top leadership looking any different.
Yep. Woo. Girl. Like you said, say what you want. Say what you want.
Well, they say if you can't say anything, just wave your hand. You have
it. That is it.
Oh, man. Sorry, we just had to pause and reflect on that, on those words.
We had to take it in. Because there's so many truths within all of it. And I feel like, especially in the industry I'm in, I just, it can be just so frustrating. Like, how dare you? You want to steal all these things from us, but then to act like our value isn't there.
Right.
So what is it like for you now in your current work experience?
Oh, my current work experience, I will say there's a lot of work to be done, but I will say that what I've learned is it really matters who you report into. And I have a super supportive manager where she, as just being a director, she truly like understands and comes from a space where she wants to push and like say like, okay, yes, we can use this moment as a catalyst, but this should have, all these things needed to already be in place. Mm-hmm. So I feel like she really pushes. It is interesting though, just because I think, and you ladies probably can definitely relate in the sense of, I want you to be educated, but I don't all the time want to have to be your educator.
Period.
And so it just becomes in this space of when you're telling and having these conversations, especially with like HR and you're on this corporate side of things and you're just giving them the facts and like, hey, can you show me these numbers about what our different demographics look like, et cetera. And they're just like, oh, well, so you just want me to put someone on the C-suite that's a person of color. No. Let's be clear. I'm not asking you to just put someone somewhere. You trust me and believe me. There's someone who's earned that position that you passed over 4 times.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
You know? But it's like when someone says that, you're just like, what? And I don't want that person to also be the chief diversity officer. Like, no. I want them to be I want them to be the chief financial officer.
Yes. Thank you for saying that, because I have felt that too. I've always said, because my background is in HR, and I was like, I'm tired of them making it feel like we're the experts on diversity and Black, and
like that's the only thing that we know, bring to the table.
And you don't see us as a lot of us in leadership roles, like you mentioned, on the CEO side, on the chief financial officer side, or the especially like technology, things of that nature. And I'm like, we have people that can do the job as well.
That excel in the role.
That I was gonna say.
Yes. Right.
Better than.
And then you have this dividing line too, where it's like, but then you don't want to fall into that trap of tokenism. I don't want you putting me in this role for the sake of filling this quote unquote quota.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
So yeah, I can talk about that all day, but I won't hold you.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hold you.
Don't just put me in a storefront window just to be like, ooh, look what we got.
Yes.
No.
We value diversity. See, she's a woman and she's black.
Yeah.
Yes. But then really quickly, I know we're off topic, quickly talk about just in terms of that with these brands now, them just feeling like, oh, let's highlight this moment and say that we're with you. Mm-hmm. But it's like, then when you look at their workforce, are you really with me? Like,
yep.
What does your board of directors look like?
What does your board of directors look like?
Exactly.
All of it.
Thank you. I need transparency. And when you become transparent, that will be the first outlet to show that you have a lot of work to do.
Amen.
Listen, it's funny, even my background's in education, but it's just been funny seeing like now these districts, even the last, once again, 6 to 8 weeks, suddenly now we're putting Black and brown people in leadership roles and administrative roles that hadn't been, or, oh, now we're making such and such. They're now the principal of this high school now, and just all sorts of little stuff like, thank you, we appreciate it, that's great, but why now?
But we didn't just get here.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like we just arrived.
Exactly. And these people who have been in education for 20 something years, have paid their dues, have been doing the work for years and years and years. And now you're finally giving them a leg up or whatever you want to call it. Like, no.
A pat on the back.
A pat on the back. And say, see, look at our Black person that we put in this role. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
as we breathe into our next topic, we want to talk a little bit about you and the inspiration of your podcast,
yes.
The Right Mistake. I love the name, by the way. I know a little bit about your podcast, but I want you to kind of tell in your own words your mission and kind of the topics and the themes that guide your show.
Absolutely. So really just the general purpose of the Right Mistake podcast is showcasing how entrepreneurs, just really anyone, is turning their accidental decisions into life-changing moments. So the premise behind it is because I realized that we have this false or kind of negative intake on how we use the term mistake, and we then go about that in our day in, day out lives. And so really on the podcast, I have guests come on talking about their professional and personal journeys and really those moments that were just stumbles and their fall downs that actually turned out to be their triumphs because it were the catalyst to really push them into where they needed to go and provide the growth for them. And so we have different topics on whether it be your new business. It can also, outside of that, be I'm having an episode about like your personal journey and having your child that will never say being a mistake, but just being unplanned and how that comes into play. And so really just highlighting how it can be so life-changing, but it was so pivotal to you and for you, but in the moment you didn't recognize it because we have such a negative collaboration to that term mistake, which is so unfortunate within our society as a whole.
That's good. That's really good. Can you share some of the overarching themes that you have for your show? Because you have 3 overarching themes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So at least for this year, the overarching themes are being self-full, dating yourself, and saying no. And just really speaking to each of those. So the first being self-full, I know that we have this like just negative association with thinking that we're selfish when we do things to just benefit and satisfy ourselves over others. I think it also comes into full when we're speaking specifically to women of color and Black women. Like we think of ourselves last sometimes, and that just is how it comes. And so this self-full really truly as a theme, I talk to my guests about it, and really for myself personally, it's knowing that think of that glass half empty or half full. I need it to be at the complete top before I then can go about anything else in my day. It needs to be full of happiness, full of contentment, full of all the things that I need to succeed and be successful with my loved ones. Because I can't give my all to my kids, to my spouse, to my coworkers if I'm not at my self-full place, and that varies each day.
Yeah. That's
yeah.
good.
And then dating yourself, I think it's so important, especially as a woman, just in terms of you need to consistently know yourself. So you are in a full-fledged, your husband, you love them, your spouse, you love them, whoever it might be. But I need to date myself. I need to have that time, whether it's reading a book, whether it's doing the small things. And this was something truly important that I had talked to my therapist about. Mind you, that's another topic for another time. We had to, sometimes they're not your cup of tea. We had to let her go. But within those tokens and those times, she encouraged me just to really make sure that I'm taking out time in a day or time in a week to date myself and learn something new about myself. And finally, saying no. Ooh, y'all.
Girl, why you have to pick on me like that? It's hard.
Listen, you got to say no. And I mean, not no, and then we're quick to say no and have an excuse behind it or have to feel the need to give a reason. I don't want to give a reason. It's just no. The no is the no. There's no need for me to expound any further.
Yes.
Amen. Amen.
So that's really, we talk about those three themes and then highlight how those different just actions have really impacted my guests and pushed them forward within the mistakes they've made in the past and to the person they are now.
I love how those themes actually complement one another when you really think about it.
Yes.
You know, you can't be self-full if you aren't dating yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've got to take that time to get to know yourself, what you like, what you don't like, so that you can fill yourself up so that you can be self-full. And then also being able to say no. I think that comes with dating yourself and knowing, hey, like, I'm going to take this time out for myself, and this over here can wait, and I don't owe it or that person an explanation for why I'm going to take the time out to date myself so that I can become self-full, so that I can be a better version of myself to the rest of the world. It all is, I think, they complement each other very well. I love that. I love it.
You just gave a whole full circle. I may just have to steal that.
You can take it.
Yeah.
You just pulled it all together. Yes.
Yeah, I was over here looking at Terry. Yeah, I don't know if y'all know the Rihanna meme where she kind of like got her she kind of leaned back and she
I use that often.
yeah. I was looking at Terry like that. You know, she got her little Erykah Badu rap on there. I was like, she coming with the spirit today. You better bring it all and wrap it up with a bow.
The hotel. I don't know. No, but I really do. I love that. I really, really do. That is amazing, amazing, amazing. I'm putting that in my back pocket.
Yeah. I want to be
Please
self-full.
remind yourself, especially that saying no. I'm holding you both to it.
Absolutely.
I think Terry has been trying to get me because she know.
I like to say no. I'm not gonna say I like to. I don't like. I don't like to say no, but I've learned. Yes, and it was hard. Very hard. And I still have a hard time saying no and not explaining my no. So I'm working on the not having to explain myself. But it did take a very long time for me and my husband both to learn how to say no and be okay with the no.
And I'm such a heal the world, make us a better place. I can't. It's such a struggle for me because it's like I can't, but I got a little in me. I can help them.
They will be fine. Are you okay?
It will be okay.
Yeah,
that's exactly. Listen to Terry, you have to.
Yeah,
just do it.
yeah. I'm listening.
Yes.
I'm listening. I'm hearing you.
No, that's good. I love it. How often do you record and your episodes come out?
So typically I record often, but my episodes release every 2 weeks. We just wrapped up season 1.
Yay.
So I'll be kicking off season 2.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, ladies. In the start of the fall, so look out for that. And for season 2, we will switch to the cadence of once a week. And then we release every Friday morning.
Awesome.
Nice.
So y'all hear that? The right mistake.
That's
Add
right.
it to your podcast list. Subscribe, rate, and leave a 5-star review.
Yes, ma'am.
I love you.
We will not take anything less for her, okay? Y'all better give her 5 stars.
Yes. Yes, we love it. We love it. And congrats to that. Because people don't realize it's a lot to putting together a podcast. And you're doing this on your own, right? It's just you.
Yes, this is me on my own just because you ladies are great, but really finding that co-host you can depend on, I think can be really tough. So I wanted to do this venture solo. It's also, I started this right before COVID. So it was really interesting to then have COVID happen.
Yeah.
And a lot of my content where like I had folks speaking to travel and speaking to this, and it's like, oh goodness, well, we're being held up in the house. Do people even want to hear about all these great things right now? You know,
they show
like, I'm sure you both experienced with the content of like you already pre-recorded some of your episodes and when to now release them if it still made sense.
Yeah. No. But no, kudos to you, girl. Kudos to you. Keep it going.
Absolutely.
We support you.
100%.
I also may have to try to have you both on and, you know, get some spiel about what your mistakes are, but that's a good conversation.
Girl, we got a whole season of mistakes for you. They're gonna be like that Terry the Yana girl.
Spill the tea.
Talk about some mistakes.
Yeah, just let us know. We'd love to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yay,
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Okay, so as we prepare to go into our closing questions, one final question I have for you is as it relates to voices, especially our voices, our melanated voices. Are you hopeful that our voices are actually being heard and appreciated in light of everything that's going on in this world? Do you really truly feel hopeful that people are getting it and it's sticking and, you know, that there will be some change?
I have to go with yes, just because I am a positive person like you, Yana, and I am extremely hopeful. Outside of just being heard and appreciated, I really hope that even if you're not necessarily completely inspired, but I hope that when they listen to our content and our platforms, they have takeaways and they come out of it feeling encouraged to go out and learn more, to read more, to educate themselves, and to ultimately want to do more and then take action. Whatever it is may be, you know, we all have different things that we're great at and know that we're great at, but how that can help the systematic changes that we spoke to earlier that really need to happen. I think really understanding, and that just comes with adulthood and growth, and understanding like who you are, how you can do better, and how you then can bring that gift to the world. And I think as all three of us know, our gifts to the world are also a piece of showing it on our podcast. Mm-hmm. And so really, I hope that the listeners, all of our listeners, understand that use your gift. We speak and we're giving you all of this content just to make you think more and really get the wheels turning in your head and in your heart to really push that change.
Yeah. Perfectly said. Well said.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just love her.
I do too. I really, really do. I really do.
Oh my goodness. Great. Like so just effortless.
This has been amazing. Yes. Amazing. Well, before we go, we like to always ask our guests some closing questions. So for you, I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Yeah. All right. So for you, Tershone, I want to know, we always ask our guests, what is their power word for 2020? And so I would like to pose that same question to you. What is your power word for 2020?
I like this. Okay. My power word for 2020 would be reflection. Can I say why?
Sure. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So reflection only in that I feel like everything that's happened within this year really has gotten us thinking about the past. And I think that as we all know, if you don't acknowledge or reflect on and understand your past, you don't have a future. And don't necessarily, stay in the past. It only shows you the really true mistakes that were made and how you need to implement change to move forward. So versus my word being change, I really think reflection this year, because we can't have another 2020.
Amen.
Really where I'm going. We can't do this again.
No, we
have
can.
Review.
We cannot have a repeat.
2021, I need folks to reflect improve, and progress.
I love it. I love it. Reflection.
2020, see yourself. See your reflection.
See yourself and see yourself out the door. And don't come back.
It's like this lady and this little girl, and she's looking, and it's like, I stayed up all night to scream Happy New Year for this.
Good.
Like, how dare you do this to me?
That's real. That is real. Oh my goodness. That is real. Never saw this coming.
Yeah. So, are there any works or anything that you have in the works for the remaining of this year in 2020, or anything coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. So like we said, there will be new episodes. Expect those around September time in the fall for the podcast. Also, I think that I have a few other interviews and things coming up. Nothing that I can actually send links to right now and everything. But outside of that, I really just want to say thank you all for having me on here. This has been great. I think all of us are moving and trying to progress in the right direction. And with that, we can only hope that it's going to move the needle forward, honestly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And our final question for you, how can our listeners connect with you? Just any social media, email, what's the best way we can keep up with what you've got going on and connect?
Absolutely. So I think the ladies will probably post it in their show notes, but if you would like to get in contact with me socially, you can reach out to me on Instagram. My direct Instagram is @TershonAshley. My podcast Instagram would be @TheRightMistake Podcast. I also have the website where you can just connect with me through the website link. And I also have my Facebook business page for the Right Mistake Podcast as well, which is another great resource. And I think that we all kind of came together and realized there's a few other platforms that we are being showcased on, whether it be the State of Podcast Network, and I also am a podcast through ASA Collective. And so expect a few things coming out of that collaboration as well.
Awesome sauce.
Amazing. And y'all can catch her podcast again on all the platforms.
Yes.
So check her out.
We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart, all thank you.
Yes. Go run her season 1 back while she's prepping for season 2. All right, y'all?
Yeah. No, thank you so much, Tershone. This conversation just really exceeded my expectations. Like, I knew we were going to have a good chat today, but just our whole connection. I'm so glad that you reached out and we connected in this way. When we say this, we mean it. You feel like family.
Yeah.
You're now family.
Yeah.
You're a cousin now.
She's a cousin now.
So next time we in a Cuomo
like Cuomo's like, y'all can't come.
Yeah, Cuomo won't let us in.
He like, not Texas.
I don't blame him. Yeah.
When we can come up there, we go.
Absolutely.
We have to connect.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would love that. And I also need to hear updates about this little Girl Scouting thing you do. Because I think you have girls, right? One of you guys have girls.
We both do. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. We posted. Yes, do it for the girls.
Absolutely.
I expect an update.
You will definitely get one for sure. And
we actually definitely might be reaching out because they're like, we want to get like some additional like insight from you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I got you both.
Definitely.
Appreciate it. So,
thanks.
Again, y'all, this has just been wonderful. Season 3 is just kicking off to a great start. It is amazing. All the women we talk to amazing. Let's just start there.
Yes. And
if y'all don't know, rewind all the way back and start from the beginning to now.
That's right.
But again, we just thank you all for always continuously supporting us as we continue to amplify the beautiful voices of Black women, and we share our stories of transformation, sharing in our lessons and celebrating our successes together. We just really appreciate you helping amplify us. Is there anything else that you want to add, Terry, before we
No, this has just been a great episode, great chat. I've thoroughly enjoyed speaking to Tershone. Is it Tershone? I'm sorry. I'm just now asking. Tershone?
It's Tershone. So it looks like Tershone, but it's Tershone. You guys both gotten it right.
Okay, I just listen. I don't play about names. We don't play about names.
No, we don't. We all three have beautiful names. So
yes,
none of us play about them.
Yes, but I just love your spirit, your energy, everything. I am so excited for you and your podcast. All the great things that you're doing, girl. Keep speaking up. Keep using your voice. You got our attention for sure. Yes. So I know you've got the attention of many more listeners, and to our listeners, y'all go support, go check her out, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff. No, today's been great. I love it. I'm excited because me and Yana are back in the same room again today. Man, it's a good Friday. It's a good Friday.
It is.
All of it.
Well, we're not going to hold y'all any longer. So until next time.
Melanate on that.
It's our first time we had to say that together. Long time.
Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed our chat today. Keep the conversation going by heading to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leaving us a review.
Have a story of your own to share? Email us at info@melanatedconversations.com or connect with us on social media at Melanated Conversations. Till next time, keep raising your voice. Are you someone who's ready to get your voice out into the world? Have you been considering starting your own podcast and not sure of all the things it takes to launch your show? Well, at Levels to Lunch, they've done all the groundwork to help you turn your dreams into streams. With professional knowledge and experience in strategy, recording, editing, and presenting, they have all the resources to help you in your journey in launching your show. From the do-it-yourselfer to that time-strapped podcaster that just needs to get it done, they walk you through every step to get your show launched and ready for the world. So go ahead and take that next step and make your podcasting dreams a reality by visiting levels2lunch.com. Again, that's www.levels2lunch.com.